Well, hello ladies and possibly gents. I am really glad that you clicked on this video today because I feel like we're going to be talking about something that every single person needs to hear. If you're brand new here, I'm Shaylee. I make videos every week right here on my channel. I do a lot of plus size fashion videos, but I want to create more videos like this. None of us are immune to body image insecurities. We all have our issues with our body, or maybe possibly things that we want to change about ourselves. But growing up in a larger body made me feel very outcasted a lot of the time. And so getting to this place where I love and appreciate my body, I mean, it's been a journey, and it's a really hard and exhausting one sometimes, but it's not impossible, and any single person can attain this and can live this life in freedom of not being chained to talking negatively about their bodies. I don't know about you guys, but I used to be that person that like every single time I walked in front of a mirror, I would look at myself, say something totally mean to myself without even realizing I'm doing it because it's just second nature at that point. And then walking away and wondering why I'm feeling sad and why I'm feeling down and why I'm feeling like I don't have any confidence. I think we've all done it. There's also the whole idea that as women, we are taught to be viewed from a young age. And we teach our boys to view women from a young age. So if we're constantly viewed, it's no wonder that we feel insecure. It's a lot of pressure to feel like we need to fit in. It's a lot of pressure to feel like we need to keep up with every beauty trend. It's a lot of pressure to feel like we need to be working out and dieting 24/7 to achieve the body of our dreams. And at the end of the day, it's not worth it to be striving for those goals all the time. Because what does it take away from you? It probably takes away your peace. It probably takes away your happiness. It probably takes away from the people that you love because you're obsessing and fixating on other things that, let's face it, are just going to disappear with time. Our beauty's gonna fade, our looks are gonna fade, our bodies are gonna fade, but who we are inside will always remain. And so for me, I think when we talk about confidence and we talk about body image, most of it, like 99% of it, is interchange, is things that need to be changed in here that will exude out here. You might be like, okay, Shaylee, enough with the whole lovey-dovey spiel. What are some tips that I can use, practical tips that will help me love myself more and gain more confidence in myself? I think the first thing is that we need to realize that we as a society have unattainable beauty standards. What I just said, what I just mentioned about trying to keep up. I think if we know collectively that our society is really just trying to get us to change ourselves and is really trying to get us to focus on things like outward beauty more than things like inward beauty or therapy or healing or anything that's transformational inside. I think once we realize that, it takes away a little bit of that pressure to be so beautiful on the exterior. The best way to do this is to be involved in conversations like this. So I'm gonna link some of my favorite Instagram accounts. These are people that may talk about being anti-diet culture. Maybe they're just people that are unashamedly themselves. Maybe they're people that I just resonate with that have really helped me in my journey. I'm sure I'll forget people as well. So I'm sorry if some of my friends are watching this and I didn't put your name down below. There are really so many accounts that have impacted me and helped me along the way. And I think following these accounts and following people that really speak to us is key. I mean, it's your Instagram, it's your social media currency. Who you give your attention to matters. I'm encouraging you to unfollow those accounts that make you feel like you have to compare yourself to them all the time. It doesn't even mean that that creator is negative or toxic or anything like that. It could just be that you don't resonate with them anymore. I've been on YouTube for 8 years now, and I know that some of my followers that followed me 5 years ago may not resonate with my content now, and that's okay. I know for me, my Instagram feed is just full of so much vibrancy, so many different people, so many different walks of life. I follow a lot of marginalized bodies and a lot of people that are completely different from me. And that's what makes it so fascinating and interesting. And it's really helped me love myself more. Piggybacking off of that, I would say that you have to stop thinking that you're lacking something. This is easier said than done, especially for someone like me. I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, and if you know the Enneagram, you know, this is a struggle. I'm constantly looking at other people and saying, you know, they look so much happier than I do. They must have a better relationship, or they must make more money than I do to obtain that level of happiness, or they must just have something positive radiating inside of them that I'll never be able to obtain. I think those thoughts are what hold us back. It gives us fear. But here's the thing about fear. The only reason we have fear, the only reason we've been instilled with fear, is to keep us safe, right? It's just like you don't walk into oncoming traffic because you have a fear of something happening to you. It's a natural instinct that we have. But with fear, sometimes fear will kick in when it's not supposed to. Fear will tell us to be afraid of something when we don't need to be. If we view fear as a tool rather than a negative thing, it's not going to hold us back as much. Probably my biggest fear is that I'm inadequate and that I'll never measure up, right? When those thought patterns start to come into my head, I have to evaluate everything that I'm thinking as it comes. This is a hard thing to do, but the more that you do this, the easier it becomes. It will literally change your thoughts. When you can stop a thought mid-sentence and say, how much truth is there to this? Challenge it. Challenge your self-critical thoughts of yourself, because more than likely it's just happening because it's out of habit, because it's just second nature. Just like I used to walk in front of mirrors and I would think, oh my gosh, you're so ugly and you're so fat. Like, why am I thinking that? Because it's habit. And I think most things in our life happen because of the habits that we have. So if you make it a daily habit to really challenge the things that are circulating in here, it's going to change the way that you process it. And it will absolutely help you with your confidence. This has probably been the biggest thing for me. I started out writing Post-its on my mirror and my car, everywhere that I went. Just little affirmations, little reminders that I'm beautiful, that I'm worthy, that my looks are the least interesting thing about me, that I'm loved, that I am cherished. Just little reminders here and there. And reading those every day gave me such a positive thing to think about and focus on. And it changed the trajectory of how I thought about myself, because I started to challenge everything. Now, do I believe that because of society standards that have been placed upon me? Or do I actually believe that? Try this out the next time you catch yourself thinking some negative thoughts about yourself. Like I said, sometimes it's so second nature to us that we don't even realize that we're doing it. But if you do find yourself having like a stream of consciousness, challenge the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself. The biggest thing that people tell me is, I wish I had your confidence. I could never. We all could though. We all could, and we all can. Do you believe that you can have the confidence in yourself like I have in myself? And if not, why do you not believe that? Who told you along the way that you weren't worthy of being confident in your body, or confident in your abilities, or confident in yourself, period? Someone must have told you that along the way. So therapy is our friend. That's my next tip. Therapy is amazing. I found myself going into therapy about 5 years ago. I was suicidal, struggling with postpartum depression. And honestly, I saw no point in life. There was no point in being here for me. It was so nerve-wracking just going into my first appointment. So if fear is something that's holding you back from getting the help that you need in therapy, once again, challenge it. Why are we afraid? Generally, if they're a good therapist and they're following HIPAA laws, they're not allowed to ever talk about your information. If they do, it's illegal and they could get in a lot of trouble. Why are you afraid of going to therapy? Is it the stigma that's attached to it, maybe? Because I can tell you, I think every person should be in it, no matter who you are. We all need it. We all have traumas, even if we think we don't. We all do. And our traumas directly affect us, our being. We carry that trauma in our bodies everywhere we go. So it drags us down. It's painful sometimes. Going to therapy has given me an appreciation of how far I've come and how I still have so far to go. But to give myself grace and love through every season of my life has given me the love and confidence back into myself. It's just poured back in. One thing my therapist said is to talk to myself in a really kind, sweet voice. Think of someone in your life that when they talk, you immediately feel safe. Talk to yourself in that voice. You don't have to audibly talk to yourself, but in your mind, think of that person's voice talking to you and affirming you. When I start to get hard on myself, because we all do it, I will be like, hey, Shaylee, you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. You're worthy. You deserve good things. And I will always be your friend. I will always be here for you. I'll never let you down. We'll get through this together. I think it's uncomfortable to say those things to ourselves at first because we're not used to talking to ourselves that way. The reality is you are going to be with you for the rest of your life. Everyone else will come and go. Situations will change, circumstances will change, but the one person that's going to be walking with you through every season of your life is you. So if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, if you don't have an affirming relationship with yourself, so that you can help carry yourself through those moments, please go to therapy. Please. I'm so passionate about therapy because it's done so much for me. And I know it can do so much for you. And if you've done therapy and you're watching this video, please leave your experience below. I think having enough positive experiences in the comments might give somebody the boost they need to finally schedule an appointment. Because remember, scheduling and showing up to the first appointment, those are the hardest parts. There's some anxiety. There's some fear. That's normal. We got to push past those fears. Fears are there to keep us safe. But sometimes they can trick us and say, this is scary. We're not supposed to do this. We're not. And sometimes it's just off. I'm not talking about intuition. That's a whole other thing. But our fear, our basic fear, we're afraid of things that we shouldn't be afraid of sometimes. And our fear can really hold us back from moving forward, from growth, from change. Watch who you follow. Watch who you compare yourself to. Change up who you see every day in your feed. Go to therapy. Start talking to yourself in this gentle, kind voice. Write affirmations out everywhere if you need to. The more you consume that positivity, that love, that grace, that acceptance, the more it'll stick and the more it'll literally pour out of you. I'm not perfect, guys. I don't have this all figured out. I still have my bad body image days. I still have my days where I'm angry or frustrated or upset with myself. We all have those days. But I can say now with 100% certainty that on the days when I'm being extra mean to myself and I'll say something like, you're such a freaking loser, or you never do anything right, all of a sudden my inner voice that loves and cherishes myself will kick in, because I've done a lot of this, because I've practiced this every day. It'll kick in and it'll say, hey, that was uncalled for. We don't need to talk to ourselves like that. Let's examine how we're actually feeling in this moment so we can better understand what feeling we were trying to convey before we started bashing ourselves. So then I'll evaluate it, and it'll be like, well, today I'm feeling insecure because of blank, blank, blank. So that's why I called myself that. Okay, well, let's figure out why we're insecure. Almost as if I'm watching somebody else talk poorly to someone. Like if I'm witnessing somebody bullying someone else, that's what it feels like. I can kind of pull myself out, examine the situation, see that I'm talking to myself in that way, and I can pull that back and say, hey, that was uncalled for. I just start lifting myself up naturally because I'm my friend. And I would do that to any one of my friends. I would try to make them feel better. I would encourage them. I would try to help them realize how wonderful and amazing they are. So if we can do that to the people we love so easily, why can we not do it to ourselves? Forget what somebody said to you 25 years ago. The people in our past that have told us that we're never going to amount to anything, or have told us that we're unworthy in one way or another. The reality is they're dealing with this exact same thing. They don't love themselves. So what's going to overflow out of them? Unhealed trauma that they haven't worked through. Unhealed body insecurities. Unhealed insecurities in general that they're going to pour onto everyone else. Once again, it takes that separation. When someone says something negative to you, to kind of pull back and say, I wonder why that person's saying that. They're probably really struggling right now. And that's not an excuse. Okay? If we treat people poorly when we're going through a hard time, it's no excuse. But it gives us a sense of understanding and seeing it differently and not taking it so personally, and realizing that we are all struggling on some part of the scale, and the people that hurt others are generally the type of people that don't love themselves because it's not pouring out. I hope this video is making sense. It kind of went a different direction than I anticipated it going into. But I hope that it gave you a different perspective that you haven't thought about before. I could give you a million other tips about confidence and how to improve your body image, and maybe I will in the future. But I think understanding this, that 99% of what we feel about ourselves comes from here, is the most important thing we should know, because we can change how we feel about ourselves through work and dedication and love. Just unconditional love that we can pour on ourselves. We're going to mess up. We're going to fail. None of us are perfect. But who's going to be with you at the end of your life when you take your last breath? You might have your spouse there or your kids or whoever, but you may not. You may die on your own, by yourself. Who's going to be there with you? You've always been there for you. You just may have lost yourself along the way and have hurt yourself along the way. It's okay. It's not too late. Embrace the beautiful, kind, talented, loving, joyful, can I go on? Embrace that beautiful person. Give yourself a hug. Seriously, this is another thing. Like, when I start to feel so down on myself, the second that I can breathe and just be like, Shaylee, you're doing great, or whatever I need to tell myself in that moment, and I give myself a hug, it's so freeing. I love you guys. I hope this video helped you. I hope that you'll actually take these tips and use them in your own life. And for those of you who have walked this journey, or you still are, and you want to share some things that have helped you along the way, put them down below. This is a community. This is not the Shaylee show. I do not want my channel to be all about me. I want it to be a community where we can feel loved, seen, and accepted. So please join the conversation. I will see you all in my next video.